man who faked his death to steal $500 million. The Gerald Cotten Crypto Mystery. When a young crypto CEO dies suddenly in India, it shocks the entire digital finance world. His company collapses, and $500 million disappears into thin air. But what if the story we were told isn't the truth? What if this wasn't a tragedy, but the perfect crime, carefully planned to fool the world? This is the story of Gerald Cotten, the man who may have faked his death to steal $500 million. Gerald Cotten wasn't your typical tech billionaire. No flashy lifestyle, no social media scandals. Just a soft-spoken Canadian guy with a charming smile and a dream to make cryptocurrency accessible to everyone. In 2013, Cotten co-founded QuadriGax, one of Canada's first cryptocurrency exchanges. Back then, crypto was still in its Wild West phase. There were no clear rules, no federal regulations, and plenty of room for opportunity or manipulation. But behind the scenes, Cotten was a solo act. He was the only one who had access to the company's cold wallets encrypted offline storage. Where the crypto was kept, no other executive had access. No backups, no secondary keys. If something happened to Gerald, the entire system would collapse, and no one questioned it. Why would they? Cotten was known as reliable, even likable. People admired him, they believed in him. But as the platform grew, cracks began to show. What happens when the one man who controls everything disappears? That's exactly what happened next on a trip that would change everything forever. In December 2018, Gerald and his wife, Jennifer Robertson, traveled to India supposedly for their honeymoon, even though they had been married months earlier. Gerald had Crohn's disease, a chronic condition affecting the digestive system, but no one expected what came next. Just 9 days into the trip, in the city of Jaipur, Gerald was suddenly rushed to a small, private hospital. The official report claimed complications from Crohn's disease led to cardiac arrest. He was pronounced dead. There was no autopsy. His body was embalmed just hours later, and Jennifer returned home with a death certificate that listed his name incorrectly. Gerald William Cotten instead of Cotten. Back in Canada, chaos erupted. With Gerald gone, no one could access the crypto wallets. Clients trying to withdraw their funds were met with silence. Emails went unanswered. Customer support lines went dead. People thought it was a technical issue, but then the company dropped a bombshell. The CEO was dead and $250 million in customer assets were locked in accounts only he could access. Investors were devastated. Some lost their life savings. One man said he had over $400, zero tied up in QuadriGax, but there were no answers, no recovery plan, only grief and growing suspicion. Then investigators started digging. What they found didn't just suggest fraud, it suggested a setup, and possibly a vanishing act. When the dust settled, the Canadian authorities and the FBI got involved. The story didn't make sense. Gerald had just rewritten his will 12 days before the trip, leaving everything to his wife. That included $9 million in real estate, cash, a Lexus, and even an airplane. For a man who was supposedly healthy and only 30, this looked suspicious. The Ontario Securities Commission, blockchain analysts, and independent researchers started combing through QuadriGax's digital footprint. What they found was shocking. For months, Gerald had been taking customer funds and moving them into personal wallets. He was then using those funds to trade on other platforms and losing money. QuadriGax wasn't holding customer crypto at all. It was operating like a Ponzi scheme, using new deposits to pay off earlier withdrawals. Blockchain records showed hundreds of transactions that had no business purpose. Some wallets were wiped clean. Others were linked to gambling accounts. Gerald had full control, and no one else even knew where the money was going. Even worse, some of these transactions occurred after his supposed death. Investors who once praised him now called him a fraud. Lawsuits poured in. Angry users posted on Reddit, demanding justice. But justice was hard to find when the main suspect was 6 feet under, or was he? Cryptocurrency is hard to trace, but the blockchain never lies. As analysts studied the chain, more questions came up. The Indian hospital where Gerald died had a history of suspicious certificates. The embalming was rushed. There were no photographs of the body in the coffin. And that misspelled death certificate, it didn't match with the documents from Canadian authorities. Jennifer Robertson, his widow, claimed she had no access to passwords or crypto, but she continued living in luxury while Quadrigac's clients lost everything. Then came the Netflix documentary, Dead Man's Switch. It featured private investigators and even ex-CIA agents who openly stated, "This looks like a fake death." Some believe Gerald planned it all along. He used crypto mixers to hide the funds, moved them into cold wallets untraceable by law enforcement, and disappeared. Sightings of a man looking like Cotten popped up in Thailand, Belize, even Ukraine, but nothing confirmed. Meanwhile, a group of victims called for his body to be exhumed to confirm his identity. The Canadian government said it would consider it, but so far, the grave remains closed. What if the man buried in that Canadian cemetery isn't Gerald Cotten at all? In the world of digital finance, trust is the currency, and Gerald Cotten broke that trust at a level few can comprehend. Whether he's dead, hiding under a new name, or buried in plain sight, his actions destroyed lives and shook the foundation of crypto security worldwide. To this day, over $190 million in user funds remain unrecovered. Thousands of people still wait for justice, and Gerald, he remains the ghost of crypto's darkest chapter. So what do you think? Did Gerald Cotten fake his death? Or was he just a reckless man who died too soon, taking a digital fortune with him to the grave? Let us know your theory in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the bell icon for more jaw-dropping crime stories from around the world.